Good afternoon everybody and welcome to the stream. I'm Robert from the El Magnifico Games channel, and today we're going to continue a playthrough of the Talos Principle 2. So as usual, I always try to give a brief recap of the story so far, and as usual I end up failing and it is not brief at all. But that is just due to the sheer amount of story that we've encountered already. Both in the first game and this game, which follows on directly from the previous game. Long story short, hopefully, we are an android. Homo sapiens are dead. The androids were the creations of the humans, and they called themselves humans. They have human-level intellects and apparently emotions as well. The humans were wiped out by a disease that was revealed by the melting polar ice caps, I believe. It was in permafrost. It could have been in Siberia, actually. But either way, that's what wiped them out. In the time that they knew that they were doomed, but could still act, they built a bunch of android bodies, but weren't yet ready to create a human-level artificial intelligence. They didn't have the technology. So instead they built a supercomputer which would apply an evolutionary genetic algorithm to create more and more intelligent AIs, which were to drive virtual bodies that would have the same interface as the physical android bodies that they created, and that they'd already built and put into storage. And then once these AIs were to be given to be tested iteratively, they were going to have a series of puzzles put before them, and once all the puzzles had been solved, then the last generation of androids, android AIs, were going to be uploaded to the android bodies that the humans had previously created. This all came to pass. The first android to wake up was called themselves Athena, and they were the protagonist from the first game. They then woke up more androids who, instead of having the personality of specific individuals that had come from the virtual world that the supercomputer created, they instead were combinations of those individuals. So they were effectively creating new individuals every time another android body had an AI uploaded to it. They came up with the idea that to protect the planet, they would limit their population to 1,000. There's a bit of it's not entirely clear whether the founder, that is Athena, originally set 1,000 as the goal to reach, but didn't mean it as a limit, or whether she did actually mean once we reach 1,000 we stop. But the current leadership believes that 1,000 was meant to be a limit, not just an aspiration, and we are Android 1,000. So in other words, we are the last androids to be created, notionally. Unless, of course, they change their mind about that policy. Anyway, on the day of our creation, the civilization in New Jerusalem, that's what they called their city, were celebrating our birth, and then they were contacted by apparently another being who called themselves Prometheus, and they used holographic technology that the inhabitants of New Jerusalem do not have access to. They appear to be more advanced. Prometheus invited them to come to some island, but then was apparently attacked by an individual called Pandora. These are, of course, also the names of figures in Greek mythology. We came here, we've encountered Pandora and the Sphinx in holographic form, and they both don't seem too happy for us to be here, but are at least currently tolerating our presence. We also found a load of puzzles to solve. Puzzles are relevant to our culture because that is what their ancestors did in the simulation. Puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. So it holds a special place in the hearts of the androids of New Jerusalem. What was I going to say? So Pandora and the Sphinx not too happy for us to be here, it would seem. Oh yes, and we found very strong evidence since then that after Athena left New Jerusalem and just disappeared, no one knew where she went, she actually came to this island and built herself a daughter called Miranda, which was in addition to the 1,000 androids they were originally going to build, but of course at that point they hadn't built 1,000 of them, and she appears to have been the reason why this area is so technologically advanced. She seems to have really pushed technological research and managed to outpace everyone in New Jerusalem. Now, New Jerusalem currently has a very conservative view on development and also the exploitation of resources. They, as well as having a population cap, they aren't out exploring and finding resources they need to. Things are breaking and they're struggling to maintain everything, and they're not technologically advancing anymore, although they are more advanced than we as human beings are today, or we as Homo sapiens. Whereas apparently Athena and her daughter Miranda over here managed to significantly make significant technological advancements all on their own, but we haven't encountered them since we've been here, so we don't actually know what happened to them. Anyway, that's the story so far, and again, it took me about 7 minutes or so to get through it all. But anyway. Let's carry on. That'll be the building that we enter once we solve all the puzzles in this area. I can see there's a question mark on the compass. So that's going to be some sort of optional content that we want to check out. Ah, it's probably that temple-looking structure. Ah, this is probably a double triangle puzzle. Most of the puzzles in this game are numbered, but some of them just have these like two triangles, like one inside the other. There, that symbol. And these are optional puzzles, but I've been completing all the optional puzzles. It looks like there may be some additional content available to us behind some golden gates that only becomes available once we've solved not just all the main puzzles, but also all the optional ones. So I've been making sure I do them all around. Interesting. Right, we can bring an item to swap. Right, I get the idea. We need the inverter then. Oops. The inverter is going to allow us to turn a red beam into a blue beam. Like so. There's 3 colours of beam that we know of. Red, green and blue. And inverters will turn one colour into another. So far, we've only ever encountered an inverter which turns red into blue and vice versa. We've not found an inverter that works on green, but I see no reason in principle why one couldn't exist. Right, so we need to get a green signal here, so that's presumably an RGB converter. So an RGB converter, assuming that is what that is, takes 2 signals. One signal. Sorry, it takes two signals and produces the third. So if you give it, say, red and blue, you'll get green. But equally, you could give it red and green and get blue, or blue and green and get red. Okay, I think I get it. I haven't completely solved this yet. But at least I think I can see what the next step is going to involve. I'm going to need a connector. I can get a connector here. This presumably is going to hold that force field open, which is what we want. But I'm going to need the inverter back now. I think we can do it now. Yeah, we should be able to. RGB converter there. Oh, hang on. And then I just invert the red into the blue and then feed it back in. There we go. Red and blue go in, green comes out. That was a nice
work, 1K.
That's the leader of the expedition team that we're part of, Byron. What was I thinking? Oh, these have all shut down now because we've completed the puzzle to let us back out. That was a good... I thought that was a good warm-up puzzle. I thought it was going to be much harder than it actually was. It felt... It felt like a good puzzle to start with. Got me thinking, but wasn't too challenging. I'm just heading up to... Oh, 3 is still on here. Do they stay on here after you've solved them? Oh, apparently they do. Okay. I mean, I'm looking at the compass, to be clear. And I noticed that the number 3 was still on here, but I was pretty certain we solved puzzles 1 through 4 at the end of last stream, so I was a bit confused. That's 5? There's 5. Up here. At some point, I should probably go back and like solve all the extra puzzles that I never did. Like I'll show you later in the stream, but there are some puzzles that work under very different principles that I haven't done twice. Interesting. What do we have? We have an accumulator. I guess I need the jammer to begin with. But then what? I can get another jammer, which is nice. So getting blue over here is the ultimate goal. Right. So presumably I need the accumulator, and I place it here and get it charged. To get blue over there, I'm going to need an inverter. Okay, I have an idea. This might not work. But the thing that I observe is if I can get a jammer into here, then it can jam both sides. Like so. The problem is I need to invert it as well. Oh, of course. Sorry, I've just... Right. Wait, does that make sense? Maybe that doesn't make sense. Just a second. I'm going to need to experiment a bit. I think the accumulator needs to get blue inside it, as opposed to red. And that means I'm going to have to invert the red signal before it gets to the accumulator. I don't think this puzzle is solvable any other way, but I might be wrong. So a question it would be nice to have the answer to is if I just have a weight on here, does that do both force fields? It does! Okay, I can see how this would be done now then. Right, in which case I need the inverter. The inverter can go there. Yeah, and I can take this because the pressure plate is keeping both force fields down. Excellent. And now I just do what I did before, which is get a jammer on the inside here, so that I can use it to... I can basically get through here, because I can walk through here while it's jamming that force field, then turn it around and I can walk through there. One force field will always be up, but with the jammer in the middle, it's possible to travel from one side to the other. There we go. Sorted. That was a good little puzzle.
I often think about how many cities there are out there under the ocean. Cities where people lived for thousands of years. Cities with their own history, their own culture. All of it lost under the waves. If they'd been less greedy, they could have kept all that.
I don't think we can pass moral judgment on an entire species based on the decisions of a handful of leaders. But I do think they made a mistake. They stopped caring about what they built. They stopped seeing the romance of civilization.
Up and down. Interesting. Where does this take me? Whee! Up here, okay. And this. Whee! Ah, so that's why it's up and down, because I have to keep coming up here to swap items out, presumably. Is that where I'm going? Yes, in there. Which presumably needs a blue signal to get there. What else do we have? Green coming from here, okay. And that green's only going to be accessible from up above. I have an inverter, but it's a blue-red inverter. Can't do anything with green, so the green must be to get... So I must put red and green into the RGB converter and get blue out. Presumably. Oh, that's unexpected. I can swap something out for a cube. I'm not entirely sure why I would want to do that at present. Right, how am I going to get blue out of there? Hang on, let me check something. From up here, do I have an angle on the blue and the green? Right, so I just need to get an RGB converter. Oh, wait, but then I don't have an angle on the blue here. Ah. I see the problem. Yeah, this is a difficult angle. How am I going to do this without at least one extra tool? In fact, how could I swap anything out here without one extra tool? Wait, can I take the... I can detach the fan part. Right. This is starting to make more sense. What's interesting is there don't seem to be any intermediate receivers. There's only one receiver and that's there. I am going to need that sooner or later. I probably won't need that though. Once I've... Once I've made the trade up there. Difficult to see how I get a fan part up there though. Maybe that's what the box is for. Maybe it's to be a useless part that you can trade out. Alright, let's try something. That's an improvement. Where to from here? Presumably I'll take that down. And swap it out for the original inverter. So I now have 2 parts. If I get blue and green to you, you're going to produce red, which I can then invert. That'll work. Okay, I think I see the solution. We'll have to see. I think that's the solution. Well, hey! Puzzled it out. Oh, blimey, look at that. Is that the fire that we released when we completed this puzzle? Probably. Right, there's a big question mark over here. Ah, it's more lore. Excerpt from Orthodoxy by J.K. Chesterton. And we've got some more ASCII to transliterate. Let me just... make sure we're capturing the right stuff. Right. So, 5-7, C3, C3. That seems unlikely. Could it be 7C, 3A, 4, 6? No. Okay. This seems so unlikely though, C3. Alright, what's C3A4? Could that be a single character? Unlikely. I'm dubious about that C3. And that A4. Still. It is what it is, I suppose. 6-5. 7-3. 7-4. 2-0. 6-4. 7-5. 2-0, 6-5, 7-4, 7-7, 6-1, 2C, 0A, 4-9, 6-3, 6-8, 2-0, 7-3, 6F, 6C, 6C, 7-4, 6-5, 2-0, 6-4, 6-1, 7-3, 2-0, 4C, 6-5, 6-2, 6-5, 6E, 2-0, 6-8, 6-1, 7-3, 7-3, 6-5. Wantes du atwa ich sollt das Leben has. I suspect the first word is corrupted. I suspect that was actually supposed to be upper ASCII, but it was upper ASCII for some... Well, in fact, I don't think... I think it was in some encoding that was made for a... probably German. That certainly looks Germanic. Probably, that was some character encoding that was used in Germany, I would guess. Which happened to use the same, most of the same character codes as lower ASCII, but then presumably different character codes in upper ASCII for characters in that language which weren't in lower ASCII. Where were we? But what we suffer from today is humility in the wrong place. Modesty has moved from the organ of ambition. Modesty had settled upon the organ of conviction, where it was never meant to be. A man was meant to be doubtful about himself, but undoubting about the truth. This has been exactly reversed. Nowadays, the part of a man that a man does assert is exactly the part he ought not to assert himself. The part he doubts is exactly the part he ought not to doubt. The divine reason. Huxley preached a humility content to learn from nature, but the new skeptic is so humble that he doubts if he can even learn. Thus, we should be wrong if we had said hastily that there is no humility typical of our time. The truth is that there is a real humility typical of our time, but it so happens that it is practically a more poisonous humility than the wildest protestations of the ascetic. The old humility was a spur that prevented a man from stopping, not a nail in his boot that prevented him from going on. For the old humility made a man doubtful about his efforts, which might make him work harder, but the new humility makes a man doubtful about his aims, which will make him stop working altogether. Whatever the text is in the ASCII there, I can see it's got some more characters that are above character number 127. So it's in the upper ASCII range, even if it isn't upper ASCII. So I don't think there's any point in my transliterating that, because we wouldn't know what it means. Then again, I suppose I could pass it through some sort of translation software if we really wanted. I had to read this twice to fully understand it. I do think it's a very interesting piece. Yeah, why not? Why don't I transliterate the other bit and then we'll pass it through some sort of software to find out what it means. Probably DeepL. I hope they don't do this again though. Whatever the translation we get won't be complete, because obviously, as I've said, the encoding is not meant to be ASCII. It's something close to ASCII. That was common back in the day, incidentally. That when computer technology was being adapted to suit specific nations, obviously they would want it to be able to represent the characters that was used in the primary language of that country. But also they wouldn't want to, if they were going to invent a new character set, then they'd still want to keep it they'd still want to keep it as close to ASCII as possible, if not just because, what's the point in completely... If there are some characters like punctuation that are going to be the same, then what's the point in completely reinventing the wheel, basically? They would tend to follow, even if they were changing some of the characters or adding them, such as in the upper ASCII range, they would still tend to want to follow ASCII predominantly. Okay, let's put this into DeepL and see what we get. Hey Tato. Oh, it still says Bloodborne, thank you. Sorry if I tricked you, Tato. I didn't mean to. If I was really keen, what I could do is I could put the characters, I could take the characters I've already written up, in that little transliteration script I wrote, and I could run it through some software that would try to detect the character set. And from that I could do a better job of I could find out what the other characters actually were supposed to be. What does it say? Apparently, according to DeepL, that is including the corrupted characters, because it's not supposed to be ASCII, but I don't know what it is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be Unicode either. Did you think I should hate life, flee in deserts, because not all flowered dreams have ripened? Sounds like it's probably meant to be poetry. I wonder how close that is to the original, given that, as I say, there are flaws in the way I transliterated it. Oh well. Excursion Report 3 from Miranda to Athena. It's incredible. There's an entire submerged town just off the coast, surprisingly well preserved. Sailing over it, I finally understood what the ancients meant by eerie. I obviously couldn't have the kind of physiological response they did, but I think the mental response was pretty close. A contradictory response, part melancholy, part fascination. It's strange how tragedy and destruction make the beauty of civilization more obvious. Miranda. P.S. A deer got into the maintenance area and made a huge mess. Sorry, I'll clean it. P.P.S. I may have been feeding it. Failed to load profile, failed to load comment. So again, another comment that's been lost. Hypatia's Journal, number 6. From Hypatia's Journal, volume 1, The Founding of New Jerusalem. Day 296. Cornelius and Sarabai went back to the dam today. We've been holding off on constructing any new humans to concentrate on building a home for them first, but there's a limit to what 13 people can do on their own, and everyone is eager to start construction on some more ambitious structures. Sarabai's kindness and patience is something that we'll certainly miss out here, where tempers can sometimes run high, and I'll miss Cornelius too. He was there when I was born, and he's just as much a father to me as Athena and Alexandra Drennan are my mothers. What happened? We know Cornelius was... Oh, he just went back to the dam today. Okay. So when she says she'll miss him, she means, for the next few days. Okay. But I suppose I can always go visit them. The dam isn't that far, and once we complete the monorail in a few decades, it will truly only be a few minutes away. And what are a couple dozen years, really, when you might live forever? Yeah, they have a different perception of time because they are... being androids that can replace all their parts and so on, they are extremely long-lived.
Something I really like about Alex, one of the reasons why I'm here doing this, is that she's really humble. She has this incredibly positive view of humanity. She believes we can accomplish anything, but it's not about her. She doesn't think that she's smarter or better than anyone else. She just looks at us as a species, and even though she can see how small we are in the grand scheme of things, she thinks that we could conquer the stars and give meaning to the universe. Even now, even when none of us are going to live to see it. Isn't that awesome?
I've talked about this before, but I don't think Homo sapiens will ever conquer the stars. And the reason for that is that in real life there are good reasons to think you can't go faster than the speed of light. Propulsion. Whoa. Okay then. Which means actual interstellar travel is extremely slow. It would mean spending at least thousands of years on a spaceship just to get to the nearest star systems. Well, not the nearest, but the nearest ones that might have habitable planets. And then what do you do if you get there and it turns out you can't terraform it, that it actually isn't suitable for human life? It's not that we couldn't do it, it's just with the resources that we have available to us on Earth, it would be incredibly difficult to do. But I do think, genuinely, you know, this is I'm talking about real life here. I do think that we could probably build androids in time that would be as intelligent as us and share our culture, and because they could literally live for tens of thousands of years or longer, they could make the journey and do it, especially since once they actually arrive on another planet, they wouldn't have the same problems we would have surviving. They would be a lot more tolerant of extreme conditions. What am I trying to do here? It's a good question. It's weird to have a red receiver on the inside to lower the force field. Right, there's a... Okay, I think I get it. You want me to swap this out, do you? And get an accumulator. I can certainly make a blue accumulator, but what I need is a red accumulator. And I need to get it up top. Let me get the inverter back. Now if I temporarily swap out the fan part for the accumulator, I can now... Ah, that's not going to work. Maybe the box wasn't optional. How am I going to do this? The driller I still need, because that's the only way I'm getting a box to the other side. I have an idea. This might not work, but it might work. If I go up here... Ah, can't get an angle on the blue from here. Okay. That's not going to work. That's a pity. How do I get this then? Oh, one idea. Can I get the blue here? No. I don't think so. Fundamentally, what I'm struggling with here is how do I get the blue signal out of here? I'd need to be elevated to do so, but elevated where? Where is there a suitable angle? It feels like the only angle is when you're going over the top. I mean, that's doable, but I'd need one more part than I have. Can't get the driller to the other side because you're not allowed to put a driller through a hole that it's created. I mean, I'll tell you what I think the end of this puzzle is. I think the end of the puzzle is I get the blue signal into the inverter, into the accumulator. The accumulator power gets charged up with red. and then we take it up there using the fan and put the red signal into the red receiver, and then we can enter there. The question is, how do I get the blue into the inverter? Because I don't see an angle to do it. What's the name of this puzzle? Propulsion. Propulsion. Propulsion, that's an odd name for a puzzle. Because in the proper sense of the word, that would be something that can propel itself, right? Like something that can provide some sort of push. I'm not aware of any tool that can do that, other than, unless you count a fan as a tool. This would be easy if I could get that driller to the other side. I don't know of a way to do that. Very silly, but I take it I can't use the box in some way. It doesn't seem like it, no. I can't, like, knock it with the box? No. I could drop the box on it, but I don't think that would knock the driller through. In the past, we've had puzzles where we've had to move drillers by having fans blow on them. But I can't invert this fan. I can't make it suck. So I don't know how I would pull or push the driller through there. I don't think I can straightforwardly get the driller on top of a box that I'm carrying either. So I couldn't, like, carry it through. Ah, they won't let you make a hole right on the very edge. I was wondering how the driller's hole would interact with the force field, but they won't let you. Can't take driller for its own hole. Yeah. The box is what I really want. But I want it on this side. But I want it on this side. Do I? Do I actually? Maybe I don't. This might be what I was missing. Close. Very close. That's still not working. I think they may have chosen the angles here very, very carefully to make sure that you can't do what I'm trying to do. Yeah, look. That implies I do have to get the box over here. It implies I have to get the box very close to the gate. I have an idea. Okay. Maybe I can get the accumulator on this side instead, which would probably work better, thinking about it. So I put the box through there. Good. I think all the pieces are where I need them to be. So put that there. I think I've done it. Don't want to count my eggs too soon, before they've hatched, as it were, but I think this is going to make this possible. Yeah, and now the only remaining question is how do I get this up there, but that seems somewhat obvious. I'll swap this out, recreate the hole. And then both these parts are no longer needed, the inverter and the box. This allows me to pass the accumulator with the red through here, and then I just use the fan again to get the fan part back. Boom. Solved. I don't know why they called it Turn to a puzzle for a second attempt.
Think like that.
I didn't return to a puzzle for a second attempt. I solved it first time. Anyway. Yeah, that took me... The name of that puzzle threw me. It made me look for a kind of solution which wasn't actually how you solve it at all. Ooh, a deer. Hello there, dear. Hello, Melville. What a beautiful deer. Oh, hello. There's a Prometheus flame up there, and very notably it's not on our compass. So they don't show up on our compass then. In which case it's unlikely I would ever find them all without a guide. But we don't actually need them anyway, it would only be for completionist purposes to grab them so far as I'm aware. I get the concept here. I'm supposed to find something to press down on the pressure plate. We had a lot of these sort of puzzles in the previous game, and the solution was usually to find ways to sneak parts out of puzzles. Which may well be possible here, it's just that in general I found this game does a far better job of locking parts into puzzles so you can't remove them. Anywho, let's move on to number 8. Puzzle number 8 in this area. Alcatraz has nothing to say right now. Transmission. Interesting. Interesting. So there's a swapping device in there as well as a red source, and we gain a driller. Oh, there's another body in here. Okay. But no obvious way to drop the force field, so that's probably a job for a jammer. Ah, there's a red receiver in there. What do we have up here? I've still not seen the end. Was that the end? No. But there's something in there we can swap for. Well, to start with, I may as well get them out of here. Since the only purpose of that area seems to be to keep... Ooh, nearly lost the jammer. To keep that that android stuck, to keep them beyond our influence, which we've now subverted. Still confused by... Oh, that's where I'm trying to go. Right. I was going to say, I'm still confused by the fact that we haven't found an exit. Okay, I don't think we need this up here. No full damage in this game, fortunately. Right, presumably I can swap this out. We now have a driller. No connector though, that must be what's in there. Can a driller create a hole that it itself falls through? I'm not sure if we've ever tested this. Looks like the answer is probably no. You're not supposed to be able to. Is this correct? Yeah, this gets us a connector. We have no other tools though, that I'm aware of. Can I grab the fan part? Yes, that's probably how it's done then. But how would I pass the fan part up here? Since I need the fan to get up here in the first place. It's a very good question. I could get an android down in here quite easily, but then what? In fact, we've already done that, but then what? Like, they need to have a tool with them to swap out for the connector, and that's what we're currently lacking. There's no other way into that area, is there? Not that I can see. See, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I can't... Obviously, I could do something like get the driller down here and have it make the hole down here instead of up here. That sort of makes sense. But then what? To do this, I mean. Because that doesn't help us get an android with a tool in there. Maybe I'm supposed to use this to power something up, but I don't currently have a connector, so I can't get power to that. I could use the fan part to get the jammer back. Temporarily, but that doesn't help much. Fundamentally, I need to get the connector that's up there. I do think it's more likely than not that I'm supposed to swap the jammer, not the driller, because there's evidence that I need to use the driller twice. But that's a good point. Why do I need to use the driller twice? Why? I understand why I can make a hole here. Why can I make a hole here? And is it connected to that fan or not? Because it feels like a catch-22. If I had the connector that's up there, then I could power the red receiver there that would start the fan that would let me get up there. But I mean, that is a catch-22. I'd need the connector, and using that technique, I'd need the connector to get to the location where the connector is, which is no good. Alright, I know I can't... I know I can't create a hole, but the driller... I know I can't have the driller make a hole, but it itself falls through. That much is clear. I can't take the fan part here, can I? No, that fan part is very much bolted on. So, like, I understand that I could, for example, get one of the androids up here and use the driller to drop them through. And I understand that there's a fan part there. But if I took control of the android down here, for example, and had them take the fan part, right, how do they get it to the android that's up top now? They can. The question is, how do I get an android into that area, that floor, with something to trade? Just to verify, this is... yeah, we are expected to bring an item to swap. Jammer doesn't help because I don't need to jam anything. Blimey. Look at those deer go. It can't be an accident that I can detach the fan part there. That is clearly going to be part of solving this puzzle. I'll tell you what we haven't seen in this game yet, which was used a lot in the previous game. Recorders. The ability to record a series of actions and then play them back and have a duplicate from the past carry out those same actions. We've seen none of that. Nothing else in the vicinity I've missed, is there? I don't think so. Oh, goodness me, this is a tricky puzzle. What is the use of this? What does this let me do, which I couldn't do otherwise? Oh, I guess it let me drop this, which would be useful if I already had the connector. So this fan part might be for much later on. If that's the case, then that implies that I am supposed to be able to swap out items here just using the driller. Because as far as I can tell, there's no way to get another item up here. If that's the case, then it stands to reason I must have to take the fan to get on top of here. So far I must be correct in my actions, because there's no other way to get up here. But then how do I get the driller through? What can I see from the fan? I can see this. Hang on. What I'm wondering is if I place this down, where does it land? There's an easier way to tell, isn't there? Put that there. Set this up. No. Set this up. Close enough. Put it on. That was not very impressive. Oh my goodness. Okay, that doesn't... So the fan doesn't do a very good job of pushing the driller then. It does a much better job of blowing us up in the air than it does of blowing the... driller. What I was wondering is if I need to like make a hole in this copper in a specific location and then have the driller fly up and then down through it, but that doesn't appear to be the case. There's still the open question of why can I open a hole here? What's the point? can't pass an object up there. That's really quite a head scratcher actually, why they would bother to have the copper here. Because if I could get up to the level below, I could finish this puzzle. That is where the exit is. So that tells me that this... I'm not supposed to like pass objects up through there or something. It's simply the case that it's going to be useful to be able to create a hole from that level to this level. But the only reason to do that would be to drop something. Why would I want to drop something from there to here? So even when they weren't... Even when there was no AI inside this body, they still knew to brace their legs as they fell. What am I missing? There definitely isn't something else here that I haven't seen, right? Some other part to this puzzle that I missed. I don't think so. I just don't see how it's possible unless I can hold an object and still have that fan functional and have it place me up here. But it has to be an object other than the driller. What did they call this puzzle again? Transmission. Transmission. So that means moving one... That's like... conveying a signal from one location to another. To transmit. Intuitively, you'd think it would be doing that. Transferring the consciousness, but... presumably it isn't? Feels like an object and a player character has to drop through there specifically. I could get a jammer up here and then jam the fan, but what would that achieve? Oops. Let's go back in here. Is there something about this area in particular that I've missed? Something special about it? I mean, it doesn't feel like it. Oh, you can have transmission in the sense of a transmission in a car, can't you? Doubt that's it, though. Although it's a point, in the sense that if I got the driller down here somehow, and I haven't figured that part out yet, I could, or if I had the or if I had the driller down the bottom actually, I could use a hole in here to transfer the consciousness up. But it wouldn't take an item with me. Hang on. I should test that. I would be amazed if this works. But have we ever actually tried taking control when we have an item in our hand? Okay, the item stays with the individual. Okay, that's what you would assume would happen. It just suddenly occurred to me that I don't think we'd ever tested that. And so if it had been the case that we could bring items with us, that would be, well, very... It would open up a whole new range of possibilities. Ah! Right, I don't want to jinx it, but I may have the solution. Hang on. Yes. I think I may have the solution. So you need to jam that to let the other one in. The other one needs to swap out the fan part. Why is the jamming not working? There we go. The other one needs to swap out the fan part for the driller. Swap back for now. You can put the jammer in your hand. And now we should be able to drop them both through. Yes. And now we swap the jammer for the connector. I think we've done it, right? I think that's it. I don't want to... Again, I don't want to jinx it. Actually, do we even need to swap anything out right now? Maybe I just place that there. That connects that up. And we head up. Done. We did it. Oh, that took me a while. So the key there... The key there was realizing that although I needed the jammer, I could temporarily swap out although I needed the driller, I could temporarily swap out the driller for the jammer, and the jammer could both be used as the item to swap, but also be used to keep the force field down. I don't know why that didn't occur to me sooner, but yeah, that took me a while. I still do not understand why there's a bit of copper here, though. This just seems to be a red herring. You never need to use a driller on it. I don't see the point. Maybe it's to prevent... Maybe there's some sort of condition where a player can get themselves stuck, and having that there allows them to get themselves unstuck. I don't know. Anyway, let's start heading to the question marks, shall we? Ooh.
Miranda, Would you like to play a game?
A game? That sounds like fun.
It is. Remember what Alexandra Drennan said about games?
They're part of what makes us human.
Exactly. And this is a game Alexandra Drennan designed when she was still in school. It's based on her favorite book. Have a go.
Interesting. Also, I noticed the reflections in the water are sort of square. They're very geometrical. There's like rectangular, at multiple levels there's like rectangular patterns repeating. Interesting. There should be, at an absolute minimum, be... Oh, this is a long way away. Be at least one more double triangle puzzle. Did I see something on top there? No, I think it was just the way the sunlight was behaving. There should be at least one more double triangle puzzle at a minimum, and there's probably also a laboratory. A laboratory we haven't been to yet. Oh, this is the laboratory. This looks even more dilapidated than most. In fact, this looks like it's falling apart. Does this mean this is the earliest one? Could this be where she built Miranda? Huh. I'm just wondering if I'm missing something here. No, it looks like this is by design that we can't get through here. Like, it's not just supposed to look like it's falling apart. It looks like we really are not supposed to be able to explore here. Fair enough. Ah, there's another question mark here. That might be the other double triangle puzzle I was expecting to find. I'm guessing it's up here. That's 6. Where's the question mark gone? There. Oh, maybe not. Keep heading this way, apparently. Whoa, 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 whoa. I think I said earlier, good thing there's no fall damage, but I think there is fall damage if it's far enough. I think it's just you have to go a long, long way to take fall damage. Is this it? Is this the double triangle puzzle that we haven't done? Probably. No, that's 8. Where is it then? Over there. Yes. That's exactly what this appears to be. Elegance. Wonderful. Very promising name for a puzzle. A fan part, eh? So we're going to find a fan that isn't functioning. While that fan's functioning, this one isn't. Where are we trying to get to? Presumably there? Yes. Oh, blimey. This is quite an intricate one, by the looks of things. Huh. Presumably that's how we get the connector. Just a second, let me handle something in chat and then we'll carry on. Rightio. So if I could get some sort of part up here, I could get a connector. That's another jammer. That's exactly the part we needed. Or exactly the tool for the job. Means I have to put the driller down temporarily. But the beauty of having another jammer is it means I can get the jammer through to the other side. So I can now do the swap. Right, that'll work, but temporarily. I'm going to need to get back over there to cut the fan part. What did I do with the other jammer? Is it up there? That's suboptimal. Okay. I think I see what I need to do. I'm not entirely confident. The problem is I'm going to lose the access to the driller this way. I'm going to need the driller. Ideally, I'd need access to the other jammer. That's not going to work because that would be just swapping a jammer for a jammer. And this just puts me back into the starting position. What am I missing? I'm I'm going to need the driller and the connector over here. I'm also going to need the fan part. So I need those three out and over here. How does that work? I only have 2 tools at a time. I think I am going to need the driller though. There is no other way. Oh, I get it. Sorry, that took me a while. Yeah, I've made my life difficult, haven't I? Where did I put the connector? This connector up here. Yeah. Sorry, I get it. This is supposed to be set up like so, I think, so I no longer require the... Oh no? Is that not the solution? Let me try moving this over slightly. Hang on, before I do that, we will do this. But before I do that, let's make sure I swap these two around. I need to get the fan part in here. Good. That should do it. I think this is possible now. Alright, can I do the swap from here? I can. Can I connect everything up from here? Yes! That was the step I was missing before. That's what makes this all possible, because it means I no longer need the driller out to keep the connection going. And now I can swap out for the jammer. And I guess that's what makes the puzzle elegant, the fact that once you get up the top you realise you necessarily have to have the tool that you needed already in the swapper. Still, that's another puzzle solved. Perhaps took me slightly longer than would be ideal, but... those look like lore dumps. Have we looked at both lore dumps? I'm just looking at the things that are available on the compass. Things that are showing up on the compass, I should say. I think I remember this from last week. I think we did do this, but I think I got us pretty badly water damaged in the attempt. Yeah, back off, back off. Did it again. Sorry. I'm going back here just to verify. Like, I think I remember coming here, and I think I remember doing the same thing last time. but I'd rather not accidentally miss out on some content. If I am mistaken. Ah, here we go. Right, have I looked at these before? Yes. Looked at that one before, certainly. Just checking the others before we move on. Next thing's going to be the big building. That one. Right, have we been in here? Or have we looked at this one, I should say? Yes. And that one was presumably the one we discovered earlier today. Right, so, to the central building. Carefully. We don't want to fall off a cliff, literally. And injure ourselves. Oh, I've gone too far. Blimey. How do I get up here? I've not been around the entire perimeter at this point. Yes, I have. Alright, back to the shuttle then. Oh, I see, because I haven't built the bridge yet. I get it. I need to go back to the shuttle area, and from there, presumably, I build the bridge out of Tetrominos. So the thing I looked at and said, blimey, that was presumably like one end of the bridge that hadn't been built yet. That part had been built yet, but the rest of it hadn't. There we go. Excellent. Made it over. Progress is being made. So presumably we're in for another encounter with either Pandora or the Sphinx. As we finally meet Prometheus. So meet. Oh blimey.
Hear me, friend, and heed my words. Beware Pandora. She is nothing but fear and despair, and she will do anything to prevent you from reaching the flame. It is she who disrupted the trials of the Sphinx, and who bound me in the...
Blimey. Return to the
Well
Veto.
done, 1K. Looks like our hypothesis was correct. The megastructure is opening again. Everyone come to the VTOL, please. It's time to find Athena.
What about Pandora? She seems capable of displacing or controlling the other entities.
We should be careful, but we can't let such a vague threat paralyze us. Just keep your eyes open.
I tend to agree. Not least because I'm not entirely convinced Pandora, the Sphinx, and Prometheus are actually real individuals and not something that Athena's put together. But we can't... Yeah. I do worry that... I do worry that Byron is perhaps a little too sold on this idea that Athena's going to meet them in the megastructure, which I'm not sure there's enough evidence to support.
There's something I've been thinking about. I know the New Alexandria disaster was traumatic. I know accidents like that make us think that it's best to stick to what we have. But what about all the accidents that have happened in New Jerusalem that nobody talks about? The collapse of the Rakowski building. The Calvin Street explosion. The derailment that almost killed Benaroya and Canada. All of those happened because we stopped investing enough resources in our civilization. And if Melville hadn't been put in charge of city maintenance, this would still be happening.
It will happen again either way. With how little we have to work with, it's only a matter of time.
You see, there may be a price for pursuing progress, but there's also a price for not pursuing it.
There is a happy middle ground, though. Or rather that's not what I mean to say at all. What I mean to say is it's a false dichotomy. You could invest in your own infrastructure without pursuing progress. You could go out and find new resources and exploit them without pursuing any sort of technological progress. Now, I can't help but think that that would also be a losing strategy, because again, this planet isn't going to be habitable forever. You do need to be thinking in the very long term in terms of getting off world. But I don't agree that there's one strategy which leads to slow decay and the civilization quite literally falling apart, and another strategy which involves recklessly pursuing technological development, and that those are the only two possibilities. You know, to the point of allowing being sufficiently reckless as to allow avoidable disasters to take place. I suppose they would argue they weren't avoidable, but the great disaster that they've been talking about over and over again is the day that New Alexandria exploded. And as I understood it, that was because they built was it a geothermal generator which wasn't correctly correctly built for that site, because they were working on very old plans left by humans 1,000 years ago or something, or several hundred years ago, and it was a bit vague. But my point is, I can understand from their point of view how that mistake may have seemed like a very easy mistake to make, and so they don't want to blame the individuals that were involved, because it seems like it seems a bit harsh to blame them too strongly. But on the other hand, I don't think that was because they were recklessly pursuing technological development, and they do seem to be mixing up the ideas of technological development or technological progress and increasing their infrastructure. The whole point about building New Alexandria was to expand that infrastructure. You know, it's a second city, it's a second site where people can live and work. That's the point. Also means they don't have all their eggs in one basket. If something terrible happened to one city, the other one wouldn't necessarily be affected. What I'm getting at here is, not only do I think there's some false dichotomies here, which are ignoring not just intermediate strategies, but also lateral strategies, just other ways they could go about things that don't really map exactly to either of the two extremes they've considered. But I also think they're mixing up a lot of ideas in a very what's the word? I don't want to say dishonest way, because that assumes that they're deliberately trying to deceive, but in a very false way. I feel like they're trying to simplify the difficult leadership decisions that have to be made too much. They're trying to make it too much of you're either in Camp A or you're in Camp B, when in fact there's a huge amount of nuance here and a huge amount of room for other positions. Anyway, let's head into the megastructure.
Alright, here we go again.
Our main objective is to determine the relationship between the megastructure and Athena. Did she find it? Did she build it? Why was she here in the first place? Explore, dig up anything you can. We need to start finding answers.
Is this area also going to be designed to collapse after we've seen what the builders wanted us to see?
I can't imagine one person building all this.
Don't forget about Miranda. There were at least 2 of them.
I can't imagine 100 people building this.
Well, we know they have the particle beam technology. Quite possibly one person could build this.
Have a look around, but stay in touch and be careful.
1K, can you stay a moment? I'd like to talk to you.
If you'd like. Of course I can.
I know you can't wait to start exploring, but just hear me out, okay?
Okay.
I'm concerned. Byron is brilliant, but all he can think about is the possibility of finding Athena. She was his mentor, and her disappearance shattered him. I'm afraid he's not seeing the dangers of the megastructure. To me, this place seems chaotic, dysfunctional. Yes, it's all very impressive, but I think it's broken. And what we're seeing is, it's nonsense, frankly. You've interacted with it more than anyone. What do you think?
I think, to answer a couple of the points you made there, or to address them, I think that the megastructure itself appears to be breaking, but I'm not convinced that this is genuine. I'm not convinced that we aren't actually being led down the garden path, as it were. I'm not convinced that this isn't something that has been put together entirely for our benefit, and it appears to break at just the right convenient moment. It feels staged. It feels like we're not in control here and we're not getting the answers we want, but it feels... I'm not convinced it's necessarily dangerous, because I think we are just being sold a specific story that someone wanted us to hear. That's one point. Another point concerning Byron is I would agree with you that he has said a few things at this point that have made me concerned that he is not thinking, or that his thinking may be dangerously biased. But I have to say, he's not actually made a command decision yet that I would that I think is in any way unreasonable, which is a great compliment to him, really, because that implies that even when he is being influenced by strong emotions, he is still able to think calmly. The only thing that I can think of that is maybe a little questionable is specifically making the objective to find out the connection to the megastructure and Athena as opposed to anything else. But I don't think it's unreasonable. We have very good reason to believe that she was actually involved in the construction of this. Strictly speaking, I've forgotten if we've actually proven that beyond reasonable doubt, but it seems very likely that she was at least involved in the construction of this place, if not directly responsible. And certainly a lot of the information we have been able to gather up to this point, again, relates to her and the years after she disappeared. I don't think it's an unreasonable direction of inquiry. I see a point. If his judgment was clouded in a moment of extremity, if he had to make a split-second decision and it happened to be the wrong one, then that could be very bad. But A, I've not seen any evidence of that so far, and B, he was matter-of-factly put in charge of this expedition by the rightful authorities. It's not really for us to, well, what to do anything about it would be mutiny, and we shouldn't be mutineers. I think to in any way, shape or form justify disobeying his orders but not to be considered mutineers, we would have to have quite overwhelming evidence of mental instability, and I am not seeing that, not even slightly. So yeah, I get where you're coming from. Similar thoughts have crossed my mind, but I just don't think we're there yet. Not even close. And we may never be there. He may just simply continue to be a superb commanding officer. I think all of it is intentional. You're meant to do something here. It's somewhat broken, but even that, there seems to be some kind of pattern. You're right, it seems pretty broken. I don't have enough data to judge. Well, of those choices, I guess I go for the first one. I think all of it is intentional. We're meant to do something here.
So you see it that way too, huh? Well, maybe I'm wrong. I hope so. But please, be careful.
I will be careful. I'm not... Even though I think this is probably intentional, I haven't completely closed my mind to the possibility it isn't. And I recognise that this could be dangerous. Incidentally, whatever we're intended to do here, I don't necessarily assume is in our best interests. I just feel as though whoever built this place did intend us to do something here, and all evidence is, up till now, that they don't intend us to be dead. It seems they're trying to convince us of something. Very interesting symbology. the triangles and the circles. Here we go again. That is a very interesting
I'm
thing.
headed deeper into the megastructure. Not quite sure where I am. Seem to be right in the middle of the machinery.
Please, watch yourself, Byron.
This is incredible. I don't even know how to describe what I'm seeing. I don't think this is a building. I think this is a machine.
Very plausible. I wonder if it is actually possible to miss anything here. Or if it's designed in a way so that can't happen. More ASCII to transliterate. Trials, dum-de-dum-de-dum. Force leads, errors, frustration, effects ripples out of enormous distances, waves. We need to move experiments further apart. Large-scale synthesis. Can we literally bootstrap this to any scale? Oh, replicating 0.2 to create version 0.21. Wait, was that 0.2 or 0.20? 0.2. Right. Transliterating. 426520 6E 6F 7420 616665 617264 2E 2054 6865 2069 736C 652069 73206675 6C 6C20 6F 6620 6E 6F 69 7365 732C OA 53 6F 75 6E 64 732C 20 61 6E 64 20 73 77 65 65 74 20 61 69 72 63 2C 2074 68 61 74 20 67 69 76 97665206. Sorry, that looks wrong. Let's go back a bit. Uh, 74 20 6E 6F 742E OA 53 6F 6D 65 74 69 6D 65 73 20 61 20 74 68 6F 75 73 61 6E 64 20 74 77 61 6E 7 67 6C 69 6E 67 20 69 6E 73 74 72 75 6D 65 6E 74 73 OA 57 69 6C 6C 20 68 75 6D 6 Oh my goodness. Oh, 756D, 656E, 7473OA, 5769, 6C, 6C, 20, 68, 756D, 2061, 62, 6F, 75774, 206D, 69, 6E, 6520, 65, 61, 72, 73, 3B, 2061, 6E, 64, 2073, 6F, 6D, 65, 74, 69, 6D, 6, 5, 73, 2066, sorry, 76, 6F, 69, 63, 65, 73, 2C, OA, 54, 68, 61, 74, 2C, 20, 69, 66, 20, 49, 20, 74, 68, 65, 6E, 20, 68, 61, 64, 2077, 61, 6B, 27, 64, 20, 61, 66, 74, 65, 72, 20, 6C, 6F, 6E, 67, 20, 73, 6C, 65, 65, 70, 2C, OA, 5769, 6C, 6C, 20, 6D, 61, 6B, 65, 20, 6D, 61, 6B, 65, 20, 6D, 65, 20, 73, 6C, 65, 65, 70, 20, 61, 67, 61, 69, 6E, 3B, 20, 61, 6E, 64, 20, 74, 68, 65, 6E, 2C, 20, 69, 6E, 20, 64, 72, 65, 61, 6D, 69, 6E, 67, 2C, OA, 54, 68, 65, 20, 63, 6C, 6F, 75, 64, 73, 20, 6D, 65, 74, 68, 6F, 75, 67, 68, 74, 20, 77, 6F, 75, 6C, 64, 20, 6F, 70, 65, 6E, 20, 61, 6E, 64, 20, 73, 68, 6F, 7, 7, 20, 72, 69, 63, 68, 65, 73, OA, 52, 65, 61, 64, 73, sorry, 79, 20, 74, 6F, 20, 64, 72, 6F, 70, 20, 65, sorry, 75, 70, 6F, 6E, 20, 6D, 65, 2C, 20, 74, 68, 61, nearly there, 74, 2C, 20, 77, 68, 65, 6E, 20, 49, 20, 77, 61, 6B, 27, 64, 2C, OA, 49, 20, 63, 72, 69, 65, 64, 20, 74, 6F, 20, 64, 72, 65, 61, 6D, 20, 61, 67, 61, 69, 6E, 2E. Are we done? Yes. Be not... a mistake right at the beginning. Be not... That's probably supposed to be not afraid, but I'm not entirely sure. It says be not of fear. The isle is full of noises, sounds and sweet airs that not. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometimes voices? Iha, if why then had wake after long sleep, will make me sleep again, and then in dreaming the clouds methought would open and show Brynhes rains? I don't know, ready to drop upon me, that when I waked I cried to dream again. Some of those mistakes will be mine, some of them will be maybe theirs. I mean, it could be archaic English we're looking at here. In the very unlikely event that the developers are watching this, may I just say that that's not fun. Please don't. Why make us copy out so much? So many hexadecimal characters.
Why don't you just tell people that they're wrong? If you tell them the truth, they'll listen.
It's not that simple.
Cornelius was here.
The most common error we commit is to think that ideas determine reality, when in fact the opposite is true. Ideas follow from material conditions. Belief systems are formed to explain and justify the way we live. We did not have kings because we believed in the mandate of heaven. We believed in the mandate of heaven because we lived in monarchies.
But we have free will.
Oh, free will isn't the same as freedom, Miranda. We're not free from the constraints of reality or history. I was shaped by the simulation. New Jerusalem is shaped by its limitations.
So, what? We're just trapped? History can only go one way?
Maybe, maybe not. The question is, how do we free ourselves? How do we build a world where our ideas do shape reality? That's why we came here.
Do you think they died and that's why Cornelius came back? Very, very sad, not willing to talk.
I knew it! Athena's here. She built this. That other voice.
Cornelius.
Was that Cornelius?
It definitely sounded like him.
Come to think of it, he went on a research expedition around the time Athena vanished. He was gone for years. People thought he'd died.
And all this time, he knew where she was?
We should talk to him.
Yeah.
We will, when we get back. But right now, we have to focus on finding Athena. We are so close.
I was going to say that Cornelius is still in New Jerusalem, and once news of this reaches New Jerusalem, which it may have already with the video feeds and everything, Cornelius is going to have a lot of visitors. Then again, he must have known once news started of the visit to the island that people were going to realise he had been there at some point. Then again, what are those holograms? Those like the footage we just watched. What actually is it? They must have been recording it at the time. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. But why were they recording it at the time?
Are those surfaces magnetic?
No,
Oh.
it's anti-gravity. Your coot was right. I should have known.
I obviously didn't realise I could do this.
$1K, I'm over here. on. I'll open that door for you.
Well, be sensible. There's no reason to be running around. Do you need me to open the door for you now? Unclear. That was an odd noise. Multiple levels, interesting. Does that count? I don't think it does. I don't want to risk it. There we go.
Same pattern as before. 3 beams, 3 receivers.
I guess we know what to do.
Be careful. The sheer amount of power running through this place.
I'll take care of this puzzle. You do the other 2, okay?
Okay.
This is kind of fun. Maybe Alexandra Drennan was right. Play is part of what makes us human. Got it. Melville, is there anything in the system that could tell us where Athena is?
I don't know. Someone's logged into the system. But when I try to access that information, it all glitches out.
Doesn't sound good, does it? Sounds like someone might be trapped in a simulation or something. Interesting. Am I going backwards now? I think I am. Right, the red puzzle's been done. We can tell from the top left. Ah, there's a puzzle up there. Right. That gives us some sense of direction. Wait, what? That was unpleasant. That's not gonna work. Up this way, I assume. Nothing back here, is there? More places to go, potentially. Okay. Interesting. Where is this even supposed to connect to? Oh. Okay. That's incorrect then. Oh blimey, we've now got to worry about vertical elements to puzzles. Well, that's progress at least. Oh, nearly went off the edge. That wouldn't have been good for us. Alright, presumably I dropped down from there at some point. That's interesting. When I place the first piece, either of the two pieces was going to lead to a change in elevation. When I placed the second piece, it didn't. It went in straight. It went in level. That suggests that the ends of these pieces also have enough information to tell you the direction that the next piece is supposed to be connected in. If that makes sense. They can rotate the next piece. Interesting. This way, I presume. Is this one of the lasers? Yeah, it's the blue one. Okay. Was this the other way we found we could go? I think it was. Interesting little monuments, aren't they? Actually know where we're going. Oh, over there. Okay, then the first piece is probably wrong. Excellent. This is going to take us to green. I presume so. I've been here already. Interesting, I must have... no, I couldn't have gone that way. I wonder how I ended up over there already, but yet... Why is this reset? That's weird. There we go. Perhaps if you don't cross it and cause the sound to play, it doesn't commit, it doesn't remember it. I don't know. Where to from here? Oh, here. Get it. Oh, dearie me. See how now we're no longer seeing any...
Not to alarm anyone, but I think the ground is shaking.
According to the system, whole parts of the interior are moving around. Like it's rearranging itself.
I think that's what happened last time. When I took the elevator, the platform where I got out just moved away.
Interesting. Hopefully this doesn't cause us any major problems. Well, that's what we're trying to get to. Do I have any tools? Oh yeah, I have one connector. Okay. And I can turn it into one driller if I choose. I guess I'm gonna have to, since one connector on its own isn't gonna achieve much. What do I drill through though? Yeah. Huh. Maybe I do have the wrong idea. Oh no, there's stuff over here. That's what I assumed we were going to use the driller for, at least initially. To get access to stuff we didn't already have access to. Right. Good. I have now a jammer. That's not much use. But without one more part, how do I connect this up? In fact, due to elevation, we're going to have trouble here. Oh, that reminds me, I was midway through an explanation, wasn't I? When we were arranging those parts to get over here to build that bridge, we saw a very good example of when I placed the first piece, there was an elevation variation depending upon which piece I put down, but then I put a straight bit down, so there would be no elevation variance, because no matter which way you rotate the straight bit, it was always going to be straight. And then all the subsequent bits lined up lined up horizontally. So again, that's more proof that the ends of the tetrominos may contain rotational information for the next piece. Oh, I get it. Hang on. I say I get it, and then I immediately pick up the wrong bit. I use the jammer here. Oh, I'm going to want the connector, aren't I? Not the inverter. Not quite perfectly lined up, but it'll do. Excellent, that's another one done. And we're upside down.
The gate's opening. I'm heading in.
He's just running straight in. On his own. To be fair, we ran straight in on our own last time, but still. More interesting iconography. Right, let's... I'm a bit worried about Byron, but I somewhat doubt we're actually on a clock. I suspect the game doesn't actually simulate anything happening, and we can probably take as much time as we want. But even more evidence of that which we discussed before, that this place seems to be built to look dilapidated, but probably isn't. And that they were incorporating nature into the design in a very deliberate fashion. Okay, I was going to do a perimeter check, but never mind.
This is fascinating. They were both here, Athena and Cornelius.
We knew
They
this.
had a plan. I found a file that... I can't...
Byron's trapped in the overload. He's failing to disconnect.
The whole system's going haywire.
1K, get out of there! Everyone back to the VTOL!
Prometheus bound. So we lose Byron.
Now, 1K, get moving!
We can't just leave Byron behind.
Yeah, Coot, we have no idea where he is or what's
Why
happening
did this
to
just
him.
raise
Right
up?
Now, if we stay here, we could all die.
The system's going completely bananas. Energy spikes everywhere.
We'll come back for Byron, I promise.
I wonder if they were expecting 1K and the fact that they got Byron caused some sort of error. That's a problem. Ah, I wondered why there was an elevated area up here that we could never get to. I noted it as we were walking over to the...
What have you done, you fools? Mortals are not meant to tread these halls. Why will you not heed my warnings? I am not trying to harm you, creatures of clay. All I wish is to protect you and the rest of your kind. What more must I do to make you understand? If you cannot be reasoned with, I must bar your path.
Yeah, I don't believe you. I don't think you're real. I think this is all a performance. Although getting Byron trap like that might have been an accident. They might have been after 1K. Still, I'm sure he'll be looked after wherever he's gone.
These energy emissions are messing with the VTOL systems. Okay, I think I've got it working. Get here quickly, 1K.
Well, I'm running as fast as I can. Good thing the compass is telling me the way out. It's making this a lot... Well, it's not technically the compass, is it? The waypoint. If it weren't for that, this would take a lot longer. I guess the feed to Byron's been broken as well.
Come on, get in!
Boom. Oh.
Get us out of here, Yakut.
Okay, we're out. Now what?
Looks like the southern sites are active. The readings are strangely jumbled, though.
Should I set us down?
Yes, but just to drop off Melville.
What?
We're going back to New Jerusalem. This situation has gotten out of control. We need to regroup. Rushing in blindly isn't going to save Byron. But we also need someone to stay here and keep an eye on things. Melville, that's you.
All right. I'll see if I can make any sense of these systems while you're gone.
We're actually going back to New Jerusalem.
Just keep a safe distance, okay?
Will do.
Good. Well, 1K, I guess it's time for you and me to take a nap.
Do not lose hope, my child. In these difficult moments, find solace in your friends and in the home that you share.
Thank you, Elohim.
Here we are. Got an update from Melville. The power spikes are continuing, but no news from Byron.
All right. Thank you, Yakut. You get the VTOL ready for the next trip. I'll talk to the mayor.
What's the betting that
1K,
Cornelius...
please head over to the Museum of the Simulation and talk to Cornelius. Let's see what he has to say for himself.
Okay, I was going to say, what's the betting that Cornelius is already in front of the mayor? I mean, we know that those that live in New Jerusalem have been getting constant feedback from the expedition in the form of video feeds and what have you. It's hard to imagine that he's not been swamped by people asking questions by now.
The world is full of suffering. Every living organism suffers. Animals kill other animals to eat. And it always ends with death, torn apart or wasting away. This is what surrounds us. This is what's happening outside those walls, every hour of every day. It's our ethical responsibility as sentient beings to lessen suffering. That's what it means to be human. To understand that it is your duty to transform this world into something better. That's what the founder meant when she said that we can turn the world into a work of art. Despite what happened to him, Byron was right. We have to keep going.
This is blasphemy. Byron was punished for failing the founder's trials. And you want us to dig deeper? Just because you can't accept that suffering is natural and necessary?
Please, everyone, stop using the public frequency. If you want to argue, use your interface or speak in person.
Blimey. So everyone could hear that then, because they were using the so-called public frequency. Have we checked social media recently? We haven't. What have we got? City News. The expedition to the Founders Island has suffered a serious setback as all contact with Byron was lost during a foray into the interior of the megastructure. Byron is assumed to be alive, but trapped within a data stream overload and unable to disconnect. Several sources in the government expressed a lack of surprise at this turn of events, citing the first companion's history of rash behaviour. Hopefully this gets people thinking about the dangers of populism, one source told me. It's been alarming to see people suddenly falling for this utopian foolishness. Jeremy, I'm very happy to announce that the New Gehenna Memorial Interactive Fiction Exhibition is now open to visitors. Come play the 3 winning works at the Gehenna Memorial Pavilion. Finally, can't wait. Wonderful news. I'll be attending today. Nice. Will it be made available through the interface too? Yes, after the exhibition is over. Niam. The pessimist is commonly spoken of as the man in revolt. He is not. Firstly, because it requires some cheerfulness to continue in revolt, and secondly, because pessimism appeals to the weaker side of everybody, and the pessimist therefore drives as roaring a trade as the publican. The person who is really in revolt is the optimist, who generally lives and dies in a desperate and suicidal effort to persuade all the other people how good they are. It's been proved 100 times over that if you really wish to enrage people and make them angry, even unto death, the right way to do it is to tell them that they are all the sons of God. Jesus Christ was crucified, it may be remembered, not because of anything he said about God, but on a charge of saying that a man could in 3 days pull down and rebuild the temple. Every one of the great revolutionists, from Isaiah to Shelley, have been optimists. They've been indignant, not about the badness of existence, but about the slowness of man in realizing its goodness. The prophet who is stoned is not a brawler or a marplot? I'm not sure. He is simply... I assume those are surnames, probably, but then why aren't they capitalized? He is simply a rejected lover. He suffers from an unrequited attachment to things in general. J.K. Chesterton. What is marplot, then? Just looking it up. From Marplot's plot in the earliest use of a character name in The Busybody by Suanna Setliver in 1709. A meddlesome person whose activity interferes with the plans of others. How would that be pronounced? I've forgotten how that character's pronounced. I think it's Platt or something like that. Could be wrong. R.I.P. Byron. R.I.P. Byron. Too long, didn't read. R.I.P. Byron. We don't know what that he's dead. He may just be lost. He could still be saved. I was going to say something sarcastic, but you know what? In the spirit of optimism, I really hope so. I don't think there's any evidence he's dead. I mean, it wasn't a great position to be in, but I'm not convinced that this isn't all a performance. Stars. I've discovered what seems like another mystery to solve. Stars, clearly inspired by the simulation, which are gained by solving puzzles related to these monuments to Pandora, Prometheus, and the Sphinx. Perhaps these stars are somehow related to what we could dub the astronomical temple. That seems like a pretty big hint from the developers. I don't know. Oh yeah, because you solve one of the astronomical temples and you get a star. Puzzles. What did puzzles represent to the founder? Whatever they may mean to us and our culture, what do they mean to her? We have no record of her speaking positively about puzzles. She certainly never expressed any interest in solving more of them. I didn't know that. That's actually a very interesting and pertinent point. Collapsed lab. One of the founder's labs seems to have collapsed. I guess that shows that even the founder has limits. There's no human building that can survive without maintenance. Roots are stronger than concrete. Unless she destroyed it on purpose, of course, but it seems like the ceiling just came down. I'm not 100% sure, but I think the puzzle clusters on the island correspond to the presence of labs, except the lab near our base camp, which doesn't have any puzzles attached to it, although it does have other strange structures surrounding it. Are the puzzles guiding us to the labs, or are we just finding the labs by accident? There is that new Gehenna exhibit. I couldn't speak to any of you, could I? No. But again, interesting that someone's just sitting there playing music, not doing important work to keep a collapsing civilization going.
The Gehenna Memorial Interactive Fiction Exhibition is now open to visitors. However, please note that due to an unauthorized strike, public transport will be temporarily unavailable. May the founder be with you.
I got myself stuck. Doesn't look good, does it? I think I'm out. Right, it was up here, wasn't it? The Gehenna Memorial exhibit, if I recall correctly. Gehenna Memorial Exhibit 312. Explore New Jerusalem in its entirety. Good citizen.
Welcome to the Gehenna Memorial Interactive Fiction Exhibition. Oh, it's you, 1K.
It is.
Please tell me, you were there when everything went sideways. Do you think Byron will be all right?
I don't know. His mind was stuck in a data stream overload. If we find him, he'll be fine.
Oh, Byron, always getting into trouble. He's been like that for 1,000 years, you know. But losing him would be terrible. But anyway, you've come to take a well-deserved break from your expedition. So let's talk about something else.
I'm not sure that my compatriots would consider this a well-deserved break. They'd probably think that I should be getting on with important tasks, like speaking to Cornelius. But I am determined to see this exhibit. What's Gehenna?
Gehenna was a place in the simulation. A prison where Elohim exiled the minds that didn't fit his plans. In time, the prison became a community with a culture of its own.
What happened to the people of Gehenna? We of course already know the answer to this question from the previous game.
In the very last moments of the simulation, Elohim realized what he'd done and sent his messenger Uriel to free the prisoners. They were uploaded to the gold disc, and their legacy is part of all of us.
Why text adventures?
Text adventures were one of the few art forms available to the people of Gehenna. By continuing to work in that medium, we keep their memory alive.
Incidentally, interactive fiction is a synonym for text adventures, in case you weren't aware. They're one and the same. How do you know the role of the artist in society? Oh, sorry, how do you see the role of the artist in society?
I don't think the role of the artist should be reduced to any single social function. The artist isn't an educator or a moralist. Art isn't about teaching us lessons or imparting values. Nor do I think it's simply self-expression. The best art reaches out beyond the self, into something ineffable. The creative impulse can't really be quantified or predicted. That's why artistic freedom is so profoundly essential. Without the freedom to shock, to offend, to transgress, art becomes stagnant.
Interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would agree with that. I'm not sure I do necessarily. Thanks, that's all. Jefferson Goldboom. Oh my goodness. This old chestnut. Jefferson Goldboom in the Spectre of Modernity by Rat. 980. Another story in the much celebrated Jefferson Goldboom shared universe. Originated in Gehenna. It maintains a characteristic writing style of the series but focuses on a new set of themes. Yes, I remember this. Jefferson Goldboom in the Spectre of Modernity, a true story. Am I... Oh no, I'm not actually typing. Credits. Written and designed by Rat, dedicated to Mac. I think Mac may have been in Gehenna and may have been the original author of this, but I'm not sure. This the original Jefferson Goldboom series. Start. You, Jefferson Goldboom, deftly step out of your charging pod and walk into the main lobby of the Goldboom Institute. It is a humble abode, filled with a small four-seater sofa, a table, a coffee bar, and an arboretum. Arboretum. Is that like a... Is an arboretum where you'd go to eat? A place where many varieties... Oh, as in arbor, as in tree. Sorry, a place where many varieties of trees are grown for research, education, and ornamental purposes. I was well off. Right. So, it is a humble abode filled with a small 4-seater sofa, a table, a coffee bar, and an arboretum. Ginny, HD, your fiancée, and a leading member of the Casorati Weisstrass Jazz Ensemble greets you from the sofa, while Frankie Soy Sauce waves from the coffee bar, and the Velociraptor John Malcolm drives out of the Arboretum on his motorcycle wearing his green armoured t-shirt. Speak to Ginny HD, speak to Frankie. Speak to John Malcolm. Speak to Ginny HD. Oh, Jefferson, cries Ginny HD. Good morning. Good morning, Ginny HD, you reply. Did you sleep well, my darling? Oh, Jefferson, I slept most dreadfully. Why is that? Is your charging pod too hard? No, Jefferson, that's not it at all, Ginny HD moans. My charging pod is very comfortable. I don't know why I slept so poorly, but I woke up on this small 4-seater sofa, which is strange because I went to sleep in my room. You think about this carefully while stroking your guitar. Ginny HD is no problem recharging most nights. You're about to reply when a klaxon resounds throughout the Goldboom Institute. Ask John Malcolm what's happening. Ask Ginny HD what's happening. Ask Frankie Soy Sauce what's happening. Shut the klaxon off. Shut the klaxon off. You walk over to the computer terminal and attempt to shut down the klaxon, but the machine refuses to accept your command without the correct password. John Malcolm revs up his motorcycle, a sure sign that he's deeply worried. Jefferson, you have to do something about this noise, he calls. Shoot the klaxon. Play your guitar. Guess the password. Shoot the klaxon. You try to aim your gun at the machine before you inconveniently remember that you don't have a gun. Oh no, cries Ginny HD. Jefferson, don't you remember that you're a pacifist now? You must do something else against this dreadful noise. The klaxon bleats louder, as though to mock your pacifistic ways. Play your guitar. You unsling your guitar from your back and check the strings to make sure that they are in the proper order. Then you take a heroic stance with your chest puffed out, your legs splayed wide, and your guitar held heroically aloft. You play a chord, a perfect chord, followed by another equally perfect chord, and another, and another. As always, all the chords that you play are perfect. This is your greatest burden. Mollified, the klaxon shuts itself off. Talk to your team. You turn from the now silent central computer console and look at your team, who are all gazing back at you with varying levels of wonderment in their eyes. Ask why the klaxon was blaring. John Malcolm dismounts his motorcycle with an air of certainty and queries the central computer console with short taps of his reptilian claws upon the keyboard. It seems, John Malcolm says, that the sensors have detected a threat of galactic magnitude. Oh no, cries Ginny HD, while Frankie Soy Sauce drops his cup of joe in fear. Ask what the threat is. A shudder goes through John Malcolm's magnificent plumage. Something far more dangerous than anything we've encountered so far, Jefferson, he proclaims. Oh, John Malcolm, what is it? Exclaims Ginny HD. What could it possibly be? We've already defeated the dastardly Dr. Elian. What could be more dangerous than him? This time, my friends, John Malcolm says after a pause of precisely 2.5 seconds, we'll be up against the spectre of modernity. Take action. Friends, humans, dinosaurians, countrymen. Possessed by a sudden urge to act, you jump up on the coffee maker, much to Frankie Soy Sauce's dismay. We cannot let this threat to our very way of life go unanswered. No, we must stand against this spectre and not yield until we are victorious. Will you stand with me? Wait for their response. Yes, my darling. Anything for human world, cries Ginny HD. Friend, you know that I will stand by you until the bitter end, adds John Malcolm solemnly. For coffee, shouts Frankie Soy Sauce, and for love. But, asks Ginny HD after the shouting and swearing of fealty is done, how will we prevail? The spectre of modernity is too powerful for you to fight it on your own. Of course she is right, as she usually is. Go alone. Go alone. You set out on your own, for you are too noble to risk your friends in this battle. But after you've walked for a day, you realise that if you are to conquer the spectre of modernity and save the human values of love, friendship, loyalty, creativity, and the ability to experience all 5 basic tastes, then you cannot do it alone. So you return to your headquarters and reconsider your 3 brave companions. Take Ginny HD with you. Go to the jungle. Go to the islands. Go to the ocean. Go and confront the spectre of modernity. Take Frankie Soy Sauce with you. Go to the ocean. What? Did I make a mistake? Hold on. Let's go back to where we were. I think I remember most of my decisions. Nearly there. Okay, so going alone isn't a sensible choice. Let's take Frankie's soy sauce with us then. Let me just finish this cup of cafe au lait. Cafe au lait? Cafe au lait. Let me just finish this cup of cafe au lait, buddy, and then we can leave. I'll be no good to you before I've had my 7 cups of joe. You see the wisdom in your young friend's words. For being a human being yourself, you know very well that your kind can't function well without imbibing the prerequisite amount of the mildly toxic stimulant. I swear, Frankie Soy Sauce says, the world wouldn't be the same without coffee. We have to defeat the spectre, even just to preserve this beverage. But, Jefferson, Bud, where will we start? Where can we possibly manage to find a way to defeat this villainous entity? Go to the mountains. After a long day of travel, you arrive at the icy mountains. The great mountains are barren of plants and animal life, yet they are beautiful in their own way, jagged and cragged and rugged, peaked with snow and gouged to the bedrock by merry little streams. That's actually quite nice. I particularly like jagged and cragged and rugged. But there seems to be nothing that could be useful in defeating the spectre of modernity. Well, says your companion, what now? Forge on. I think we should continue, you say humbly. Don't you agree? Jefferson, my man! Frankie Soy Sauce says seriously. The beauty of these mountains is dazzling. Oh my goodness, I can barely breathe, I'm so dazzled. Respond. You're about to respond, but before you can open your mouth, the ground before you gapes open and a horrendous yet oddly beautiful figure with glowing red eyes and mighty antlers emerges from the depths. Who dares summon the dear god? Oh, okay. I slightly censored the blasphemy in the previous paragraph, so that or 2 paragraphs ago, so that possibly doesn't make so much sense. It howls in a voice echoing as if in a deep cavern. Run away. Attempt to explain the misunderstanding. I'll tell you what, a dear god could help against the spectre of modernity. Attempt to explain the situation. As the dust settles, you see before you a mighty white stag with glowing red eyes and golden antlers. You tremble bodily and quake in your boots as the apparition gazes upon you. Who hath summoned me? The deer booms. What foolish mortal dares to disturb my slumber? Oh, great antlered one, you say earnestly. Your awakening is not the result of intent, but of pop. My apologies. Your awakening Your awakening is not the result of intent, but of homophony. The antlered creature cocks its head and its eyes flash menacingly, but it does not otherwise react. Ask for the dear god's help. We are on a quest to destroy the spectre of modernity, and we want to ask for your help in our noble cause. And why would I help you, foolish mortal? To protect our way of life, to preserve friendship, because modernity destroys beauty, because modernity has no space for love, to preserve the ideals of loyalty, talk about umami. What's in the flavour? Interesting. To preserve friendship. Because, you say, clenching your guitar sincerely to your chest, the people of human world and the denizens of the ninth dimension value friendship above all else, and in the fractured future that the spectre of modernity envisions for us, there will be no place for such things. My friends, my dear Ginny HD, and young Frankie Soy Sauce, and even John Malcolm, even though he is not human, mean more to me than any technological advancement ever will. Says the antlered beast. I am eternal and divine and wholly unique. I have no peers that I could call friends, nor do I have the desire for them. Begone, paltry human, your troubles do not concern me. With that, the dear god vanishes back into the ground. Darn. That blast. We've rather missed out there, haven't we? Go confront the spectre of modernity. When you approach the lair of the spectre of modernity, you decide to leave your companion behind, knowing that you cannot risk another life in this final confrontation. Sometimes heroes have to stand alone. Enter the mechanical lair. Inside the mechanical lair, the spectre of modernity waits for you, sitting translucently on a titanium throne. The spectre of modernity, you murmur through gritted teeth. We meet at last. You are mistaken, Professor Dr. Goldboom, the spectre of modernity says. We have met many times before. I am your father and your mother. Lies, attack the spectre, request clarification. Who do you think inspired you to add the power of electricity to your guitar? Who upgraded Ginny from ST to HD? Who, indeed, deciphered the mathematical secrets of the chords, that arcane knowledge upon which some of your greatest adventures depend? I was your ally all along, Jefferson. The foul wizard of crime has conspired to turn you against me. It was he who enchanted your klaxon. That actually makes a lot of sense. Sorry. No biggie, says the spectre. Now let us defeat the wizard of crime together. Even now he conspires to steal all that you have accomplished with the power of his enchantments to confuse the mind. Go back to the Institute. You rush back to the Goldboom Institute, where you find the wizard of crime taking advantage of the absence of your heroic friends, out seeking other ways to stop the spectre of modernity, to rifle through your belongings. He is surprised to see you. I see my scheme has failed. Curses! Were it not for that scheming spectre, I would have stolen all your wealth and added it to my ever-growing hoard. For that is my scheme, to steal and steal until the whole world is mine. And so you arrest the foul sorcerer instead of the development of human potential, and become good friends with the spectre of modernity. Just call me Mo, the spectre says. I'm sure we'll have many wonderful adventures together. The end. Goodness. Wasn't that a fun little adventure? What are the other options here? Argument Simulator. And Ghosts of Atlantis. Goodness. We should probably stop here for tonight. It's going to be a shorter stream because I have a gaming session later. That's off stream. So yeah, I think we'll call it there. Is there anyone I should be raiding right now? Is Pikachu still streaming? No, she's not. No one's streaming right now who I should be raiding. So I guess we'll just wrap up without a raid, unless someone wants to suggest a somebody to raid. So yeah, Next stream is going to be tomorrow. That will be more Dark Souls 2. Friday, slight change of plans. I said before about the possibility of a collaboration on Friday. It looks like myself... actually, maybe I shouldn't announce who it's going to be with, since I haven't discussed it with them. And I don't know whether they... whether they want to me to announce this ahead of time or not. But myself and 3 other streamers are thinking of doing some Phasmophobia on Friday. I've never played Phasmophobia before. What I predict will probably happen, because they want to start at 5:30 my time. That's at 5:30 in the afternoon my time. 9:30 in the morning for some of them. I don't know whether that's true of all of them. Because they want to start then, and I usually start earlier, what I'll probably do is do the tutorial on stream first, like starting at my normal time of 4. I mean, I suspect the tutorial won't take an hour and a half, but then we could do a solo game or something, so that I can try and learn the ropes. Then, as I say, I think at 5:30 we'll be getting together online, and we'll be doing a collaboration. I'll have to work out what I'm doing about sound as well. There's some details there I need to work out, because we're not all on the same platform. But anyway, that will be Friday. Saturday is going to be more Talos Principle 2. And then Monday we'll be back round to Dark Souls 2 and so on. I don't know how long the Phasmophobia stream's going to be. If it ends early on Friday, then I might do some more. Bloodborne, because that would normally be what I would be doing on Friday if it weren't for the collaboration stream. But I don't know. It depends how long it goes on for. I mean, if it ends up being a longish stream anyway, then obviously I wouldn't. But those are the streams that are coming up. If for any reason my streaming schedule should change, then I'll announce it on social media, which currently means X, formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Meta Threads. And I would also announce it on our Discord server. Once again, thank you for joining me, everyone. Thank you to everyone that kept me company in chat, and thank you to everyone that lurked. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody.